everybody. Deep dive into non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. All NSAIDs and prostaglandins. All NSAIDs inhibit prostaglandin synthesis. Prostaglandins, prostacyclins and thromboxane A2 are produced from arachidonic acid, which is acted upon by the enzyme prostaglandin synthase, also known as cyclooxygenase or COX. We are going to talk about COX all the time because it will be COX1 and COX2 all the time. COX2 is an isoform. So COX1 and COX2. So COX1 is inducible, COX2 is in inflammation, and COX1 is constitutively present in all the organs. That is very important for us to remember. So this is a slide which is very important. Membrane phospholipid, phospholipase, arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is acted upon by COX1, which is constitutively present in all the organs. So therefore, it produces prostaglandins, the COX1, which protects the gastric mucosa, and thromboxane A2, which is platelet aggregator. And then we have COX2, that is produced by the time of inflammation. It is not there. So it will act on the arachidonic acid and it will produce prostaglandins, which will mediate inflammation, pain and fever. Now, very important to know that in the NSAIDs there are two types. One is both COX1 and COX2 acting simultaneously and 50-50. The other ones are COX1 and preferentially COX2, that is say diclofenac. It is preferentially COX2, but it is also acting on COX1, that is constitutively present in all the organs. And there is COX2, pure COX2, that is say etoricoxib, and that is absolutely only COX2, there is no COX1 action. So all this work of NSAIDs is based upon COX1 and COX2. Properties of NSAIDs. They are anti-inflammatory, that's how we are using it. Analgesia is because of reduction of inflammation. Antipyretic by blocking the production of prostaglandins in the hypothalamus. Bleeding is caused because of blockage of antiplatelet aggregator thromboxane A2. We saw that in COX1. GI bleeding, again it is constitutively present COX1 and therefore we are suppressing that. So we get GI bleeding due to gastric mucosa damage and ulceration. Other properties, impaired renal blood flow, sodium retention. So you get edema of the foot, papillary necrosis, and patients on hypovolemia, congestive cardiac failure, diuretics, hypertension and GFR which is less than 30, you should never give any NSAID. Cardiac events also can be caused by that. Myocardial infarction due to COX2 suppression causing increase of COX1 and activity of thromboxane A2 platelet aggregator increases. So when the COX2 is suppressed totally, the COX1 becomes more. So it is a, as we saw, platelet aggregator, and therefore it can cause ischemic heart disease and myocardial infarction. So again to repeat, COX1 maintaining healthy gastric mucosa and renal function and hemostasis and is constitutively present, and COX2 is inducible in many cells in response to inflammation. So this slide is very important, and that is what we are concerned is with nociceptive pain, that is inflammation of nociceptive pain. We are not concerned with neuritis. And as Samir said just now, pregabalin with methylcobalamin with nortriptyline, bombarding this every day, these MRs keep on bombarding with that. We are not concerned with that. We are concerned with inflammation, and therefore this slide is important. That pain that arises from a stimulus that is outside of the nervous system, it is receptor stimulated, proportion to the stimulation of the receptor. When acute, it serves as protective, and musculoskeletal disorders are very common cause of nociceptive pain, whereas the neuropathic pain which will be talked by the other speaker, that is diabetic neuritis, alcoholic neuritis, leprosy neuritis, viral neuritis, we are not concerned with that. NSAIDs are not going to work on that. That is very important for us to understand, whereas these MRs keep on bombarding us with what Samir said just now. So we have the classification. I will not take all the drugs, but the drugs which are not commonly used. So propionic acid derivatives, that is naproxen and ibuprofen, I will talk something. Then aryl acetic derivatives, that is diclofenac and aceclofenac, are bread and butter for that. Then sometimes we use oxycam derivatives, that is pyroxicam, and sometimes we use ketorolac. The other ones we are not using, so I am not going to highlight on that. And then pure COX-2, preferential COX-2 inhibitor. I told you sometimes the NSAID will work on COX-1 and preferential COX-2, that is diclofenac and aceclofenac. And very selective COX-2 inhibitor, it will not act on the COX-1, and that is etoricoxib. Now, most important thing to remember is that paracetamol has got no anti-inflammatory action. So no matter how much paracetamol 650 you give for pain which is induced by inflammation, is not going to work. Sometimes people say I took crocin, metacin, nothing happens. It's not going to, because you have not put any NSAID into that. So propionic acid derivative COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitor, ibuprofen and naproxen. Ibuprofen dose is 400 mg BD. Naproxen dose is 500 mg BD or less. It is less toxic to the heart and blood pressure than ibuprofen and can be given in a low dose for heart patients in the range of 250 mg BD for a limited period of time, provided his kidney is normal and provided he doesn't have any gastrointestinal symptoms. That we can give for some time. US FDA has approved naproxen for heart patients. However, both are used with precaution in heart conditions, renal, asthma and peptic ulcer. Then aryl acetic acid derivatives, that is diclofenac and aceclofenac, are most powerful and are most used. Diclofenac dose, as you know, is 50 mg BD. It is 4 times. Therefore, you have that IV injection. I am going to use the word IV Dynapar we keep on giving. Instantly the inflammatory pain is reduced because it is 4 times COX-2 than COX-1, and hence it is a very powerful anti-inflammatory drug than ibuprofen and naproxen. It has less effect on GI because it is preferential COX-2 than COX-1. However, COX-2 inhibition causes, once again, thromboxane A2 and causes myocardial events. Aceclofenac is more better than that because it is more GI tolerance, 30% than diclofenac. So nowadays we use aceclofenac instead of diclofenac. However, renal decreased perfusion and acute kidney injury are same in both. Then we come to the oxycam and pyrrolopyrrole derivatives. Pyroxicam, it is COX-1 and COX-2. It has got no preferential, but the advantage is that the dose is 20 mg OD. Sometimes I have seen 20 mg BD being used. That is not so because it has got a half-life of 50 hours. So 20 mg OD. Ketorolac is also COX-1 and COX-2. It is non-preferential. It is very potent analgesic. So patient who has got inflammation and lot of pain, like you have a cervical spondylosis and lot of pain, you can use ketorolac. The dose is 10 mg BD. It is all equivalent to morphine and pethidine. Lot of pain relief you get with that, but it has got a high ratio of cardiac, GI and renal toxicity, and the dose is 10 mg BD. Then nimesulide. Now nimesulide is nowadays not available much. We used to have NICE and Nimulid and all that. It is 2 times it is COX-2 3 times activity than COX-1. It is a good anti-inflammatory, less GI effects, and is more COX-2 inhibitor, less toxic to the GI and the kidneys, not given in pediatric patient, but it is hepatotoxic and it is not recognized by US FDA, Canada, Australia and some European countries. Therefore, in India also it has slightly gone out of vogue, but it is useful. It is preferential COX-2 3 times. And lastly I come to this, and that is etoricoxib. That is, I am going to use the name Etoshine, Etod and all those things are there. It is pure COX-2. It has got no COX-1 action. So you can give it. friendly to gastric mucosa. Why? Because it has got no COX-1 action on the kidney also and the gastric mucosa. The dose, sometimes I say 60 milligram BD. No. The dose is 60 milligram OD. You can give 120 milligram stat and 60 milligram OD, but it causes uninhibited COX-1 activity, thus increasing thromboxane A2, and therefore it cannot be given for patients with heart diseases. So provided he has got no heart disease, you can give this patient etoricoxib 60 milligram OD. So NSAIDs affecting INR, kidney, gastric mucosa, all these are affecting that. Ibuprofen, naproxen, diclofenac, ketorolac and CVS. Obviously no etoricoxib for any CVS patient. So what are the conclusions? This is not very confusing. You should never be confused with NSAIDs, which we use randomly and effectively. So in young patients, aceclofenac 100 milligram BD that we are using. Young patients no problem. Diclofenac 50 milligram BD, as it is 4 times more COX-2 than COX-1. Acute painful conditions, you can use ketorolac 10 milligram BD, as it is acting both on COX-1 and COX-2, but somehow it has got a very high analgesic action. OD prescription, piroxicam, 1 OD, not 1 BD. Patients in heart conditions, yes, US FDA has approved naproxen 250 BD for some time you can use, provided his kidneys are normal and provided he has got no GI symptoms. Renal and gastric friendly, etoricoxib, but not in heart patients. You cannot use it because COX-1 activity becomes too much and thromboxane A2 will cause platelet aggregation and patient may get MI and cardiac event. Older patients, best avoid, especially if the GFR is less than 50, you should never give any NSAID. That is a rule. In general, they are toxic to the GI, heart, renal, they can cause bronchial asthma, hypertension in patient, and hence when you give NSAID, you don't send the patient, now go home, take it for 15 days. No, you call the patient every 5 days and see whether he's got the symptoms of hypertension, edema, gastric, any asthma, any MI symptoms, etc., and then you continue for that time. In young patient it's okay, but if we have all old patients, so we have to monitor that. Thank you for your attention.